This is the New Low News Show. To my right,
I am Adam.
My name is King Kobe, and to my left,
MC Graham. And tonight we are going to be recording in one take a marathon of sorts in order to commemorate the victims, all those who were affected up in Boston with the events of this past week. And in addition, we are going to
get wicked hammered.
Yes, we were planning.
Do a shot, son. Do it. Do it.
I'm not sure which
an accurate Boston accent. I'm doing my best, man.
Right.
I don't know. I've watched Trailer Park Boys a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know. Car. Get in the car. I don't know. That's
my knowledge of Boston is totally just The Departed. That's all.
Yeah,
you know, and
the
fact
that is
that I
about
hate
it.
sports.
And also Good Will Hunting.
I never saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
I just pass it by.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I should probably check
good
it
wordplay, right? Because the guy's name is Will Hunting.
You always bring this up.
It's awesome, though. It's funny.
Well, I just always remember telling you the first time I heard it. I was like, oh, I never thought about that. I never thought about it that way.
That play. Oh, that's pretty good.
Good job, Kobe.
No,
you really shone a light.
I remember Kobe looked at me. He's like, "What?"
But yeah. So we were gonna drink Sam Adams. We're all too poor, too destitute, too impoverished to afford it. So we just went with.
I'm drinking Budweiser. Had to look. Not sure.
Yeah. But we're gonna get really drunk. So sorry to all the people that got hurt. The perpetrators are either dead or in custody. And
well, you commemorate the dead by living, well.
Is that?
That's probably a phrase that somebody said at some point.
All right, see you after the jump.
Off.
Take care.
2 minutes, not bad.
Breaking rock in the hot sun, I fought the law, and the law won. I fought the law, and the law won. I needed money, and I had none. I fought the law, and the law won. I fought the law, and the law won. I left my baby and I feel so bad. I guess my race is run.
All right, sound check.
I do this funny feeling in my chest, like this is not a joke though. So I'm just pre-warning you guys.
That we might have to take you to the hospital later.
No, not to the hospital. Jesus.
That we might have to
Have you seen
operate later.
Have you seen the weather outside? Good God, it's awful. I don't want you guys to drive in that shit.
Probably more likely to get into a car wreck than you are to
Oh,
Yeah.
good call.
die from a
You
serious.
kill me and trying to save me.
Yeah.
Just do some CPR, All right.
Well, I got some stuff you can take that will thin out your blood and help you calm down and help any sort of circulatory issues you might have.
I don't drink rum, Kobe.
All right, well then I got nothing. What if I just keep splashing cold water on your face, kind of wake you back up? Will that?
Actually, that does. When I passed out, like after giving blood, while I was giving blood, actually, they put cold towels on my neck, my forehead. Felt really nice.
Yeah. I actually experienced that when I cut my finger. I felt faint, which is not very common. I told her and she put some ice and shit around my face.
Yeah.
I was like,
Damn, I wish I had somebody who did that like just throughout the day, Just
like
hard.
not even experiencing trauma. You're like, I feel weak.
Yeah, just like it would just help me out a lot. I'd probably get a lot more done.
Cold towel.
Yeah, just a steady stream of cold towels.
Yeah.
So, and then Graham's morning routine currently looks like a steady stream of cold soda. Occasionally, do you drink water or?
Yeah, I've been trying
to start.
All right, because you've been saying that shit for like 5 years now. I'm gonna try and drink more water. It's just like I've never seen you with a bottle of water though. You've always had Mountain Dew or Arizona tea or Mountain Dew Code Red. I think that was maybe one time though.
And the
But I
energy
guess
drinks.
so. Graham would like a cold soda and then cold ice.
Yes.
Probably laid on him by a woman, I imagine, maybe a man. He's probably not very picky.
No, for that, that's
And then after like 6 or 8 hours, he'd kind of get his mojo going and maybe like get on Facebook or something.
For 6 or 8 hours.
Get on 4chan's politically incorrect boards,
Yep.
poke around for a bit.
That was actually speaking of politically incorrect. That is last night I was about to go to sleep. I've been following the case up in Boston pretty steadily, just because
It's interesting,
It's
man.
hot right now.
Yeah, and like a lot of people, I wanted to guess the motivation and background of the killers, and then feel a sense of self-righteous sort of vindication when I was proved right.
Of course.
And like all Americans, I was wrong, because I don't think anyone said Chechnyan terrorists or Chechen terrorists or
Right.
whatever are the ones behind this.
There's no catching the Chechens.
Yes, no catching the Chechens, can't jar the Tsar, you know what I mean?
Because it wasn't his name like Czar Zev something.
Something like that, yeah.
That's about how you pronounce it.
I didn't even look up the names, because
Yeah.
I knew I would probably...
I've seen them in print. There's lots of Z's and V's and
Because there was a
O's.
TSA or something, I thought. So,
But everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
They can't be mistaken for anybody else. So
a couple of
that's-
white guys, you know.
couple of whites.
Whites.
Well, that was the thing. So, yeah, so I was following the case. I was trying to figure out, because there's this whole back and forth in the media, are these, like, Tea Party patriot types who are protesting taxes by blowing up a marathon, which doesn't sound like something.
It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. Or are these Arab terrorists, or Arab Muslim terrorists, I guess was what most
Right.
people on the right end of the spectrum were thinking. And I guess this is sort of a compromise in some ways, because we have Caucasian Muslims, well, I assume they're Muslims.
No, that's what they said.
Yeah.
A couple different articles.
Well, the older brother in particular is apparently pretty devout. There's source material for this. He was.
He's not practicing anymore.
Well, I think he's dead now, so he's definitely not practicing.
That's what I mean.
He's actually. I think he should be considered an apostate, and he should go to hell for Muslims. The fire, as it's called in the Quran. But he was an amateur boxer actually.
Oh, okay.
He talked about competing for the U.S. Olympics and stuff, but he'd been interviewed actually by some press and talked about how he didn't drink and didn't smoke and he was very religious, and this is just a few years ago. And apparently he married a Christian woman.
That immediately goes on the FBI's radar, right? If you have an American citizen that does not smoke, drink, or do drugs.
Lives a healthy lifestyle.
It probably ought to. That should
Yeah.
be considered part of the profile now. But anyway, long story short, he was religious. His younger brother, we're not totally sure, but yes. Anyway, white Muslims.
Yeah.
Who saw that coming? See, this is something that both the liberals and conservatives on either spectrum sort of get wrong, or they don't understand. Islam is not an ethnicity. It's not a region. It's a religion that's incredibly stupid, which has a very violent element called jihad that people use to sort of take insurrectionary action against people
Whoever.
and
Or
things
their own people.
yeah, exactly.
Other people. Well, no, and that's I actually thought this didn't pan out, but right after 9/11 happened and we started the war on terror, and there was talk about profiling people and stuff like that, I was thinking, like, man, if I was running an Al-Qaeda operation, I would just use white looking or white Muslims. I'd try to find someone out there, because there are parts of the world such as the Caucasus where they can be found.
Also, wasn't there an Australian Muslim that we caught? And wasn't he also detained in Guantanamo Bay?
Yes.
Because remember, we did a report on that.
Right.
When Gitmo was going to be shut down.
Which is still not shut down.
First order of business.
Yeah.
That's a knee slapper.
Yeah, what's that guy? David somebody? I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, as soon as someone sets up a profile, you break the profile.
Well, unfortunately, like terrorists and spree shooters, which is our other sort of problem in this country, they're very difficult to profile.
Yeah. Well, anytime you have like a small, the problem with spree shooters is that they're just lone wolves. It's they often don't have enough people in their life who could even be warned about,
Right.
who could look for warning signs that this guy's about to
that's
snap. You can't protect against the lone wolf. Either they will have the wherewithal to do something terrible, or they won't. And in the case with these guys, if it's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, that's also, the only thing you can hope for is that one of them chickens out, and
Right.
then either get
One of them posts an incriminating tweet.
yeah. and either gets shot by his co-conspirators, and we then figure that out, or just goes and rats to the police.
There wasn't, I don't think, much that could be done to prevent this before it happened, unfortunately. Which is an aspect of jihad and terrorism and surprise or whatever.
Yeah. No, and the way I kind of figured, I don't know, I had a hunch that these were Islamic terrorists because the
targeting of civilians and
Yeah.
trying to inflict maximum injury.
Yeah, it's only going to be done by someone who hates, all...
They hate us for our freedom, I'll say it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, and this is, like I said, this is all sort of conjecture, but, the older brother talked about how he didn't understand Americans, and he thought we were, living, to excess or whatever, so... You have to have some hate in your heart to target civilians, just bottom line.
Right.
You don't have to be a believer in Islam, but you probably are,
Right. Well, yeah. The thing is if it's a domestic...
You have to be a non-drinking
Yeah.
and smoking individual who insists that women should be modest and covered up.
Yeah.
You have to have that kind of mindset.
Which is one that it's very difficult for me to personally comprehend. But I think, and also, if it is a domestic terrorist... chances are they're gonna, they might target civilians, but they're gonna target civilians that have some sort of there's gonna be some sort of political or social dimension to it. McVeigh targeted a federal building because he hated the federal government. Eco terrorists, they target
new developments and research laboratories.
Yeah,
stuff
SUV
like that.
dealerships, stuff like that. So if it's a domestic terrorist, it's gonna be. The targeting is going to have some significance. If you're just blowing up a bunch of civilians, that's probably, I would say, more likely going to be someone who, has just hates all of America or Americans or something like that. And that's going to be someone who is either foreign or foreign influenced in their outlook.
Or just somebody full of hate.
Right.
Adam Lanza, that kind of dude.
Yeah. Well.
Not that we know much about him, but.
It's just.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up the Lanza. It'll just bring everything to a standstill.
Yeah, what can you really say? That's, Satan just comes down sometimes and moves people to do terrible things. So any other thoughts?
You know what you never hear? Militant atheists target innocent civilians at a marathon race in Boston.
Maybe not yet,
That may be coming.
Right now we have the moderate faction of people just go on richarddawkins.net and argue with each other on forums, but how long is that gonna hold?
Right?
For,
you think there's maybe some radical elements?
No, I don't think that, but
Well, that's the thing. I think atheists, by and large, are cowards. Which is a good thing.
Stole the words right out of my mouth. I am so afraid of pain and suffering and death that I'm not going to risk my life for fucking anything.
Yeah, no, you have to really have strong religious convictions to have that kind of attitude. This body is just a shell to be shucked away or whatever.
Yeah.
It's no, this is all I got.
This is the fucking hardware. You know what I mean?
So yeah,
I don't just throw my fucking CPU out the fucking window of my car when I'm driving down the freeway.
Right. And the whole pain is just a way to just a way to sustain and suffer, and suffering means something. No, it doesn't.
Pain is weakness leaving the body.
No, it's not. I hate that macho shit. Pain hurts and it should be minimized with opiate antagonist drugs. Or alcohol in a pinch,
Or both.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, take a Vicodin with a beer. You feel just fine, I swear.
Yes.
So to sum up that point, I, as a militant atheist, would not target civilians because it seems really difficult and a lot of work, and
really
I might
expensive.
get hurt or annoyed or something.
Well, and here's the thing: you'll get caught. You'll go to jail for forever.
Oh fuck. Jail, I forgot all about that. Man.
Do you realize how boring fucking jail is? Okay, so best case scenario, you die. Worst case scenario, 40 years, in the pokey, as they like to call it.
Pokey.
The slammer.
Yeah. Pound town.
The joint.
Where you get raped.
Yeah.
But it's okay. because people who go to jail deserve to be raped.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course, because they're men.
Yes. And because they did bad things like
Probably, yeah.
possessed marijuana 20 years ago.
Sold crack in the early '80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. So one of the attackers is dead. The other one is hurt, but
Oh, I didn't even know he was hurt.
yeah, he got shot at some point. So he was kind of bleeding out the whole day or something.
wow.
But you can get shot and live for
A long time.
Yeah, we saw this thing on National Geographic once where a dude had been shot 5 years ago, never received any medical attention for it.
Yeah, he still had the bullet in him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He had like a big swelling, but yeah, he was just living with it.
Yeah. So you can run around with a GSW for quite a bit. Anyway, so we have this other guy. He's in custody but hurt, and a massive police presence was required or was used to bring these two down. You know, not just local guys, feds. You know, of all different types were brought in. The city was essentially locked down for a whole day. My sister was up there. She was in a hotel just the entire day because that's what people did on.
I mean, they actually weren't even allowing people to go out.
Yeah.
And also, they urged people not even to go to work. Schools were shut down.
Yeah.
You know, local businesses, I assume, like, just stayed closed for a while.
Yeah, I imagine if I was like a middle school age kid, I'd be pretty excited. It'd be like a snow day, you know what I mean?
And it doesn't count towards snow days.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
And you could argue that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrorism. Come on.
So my question is, was that worth it? You know, do you think like because shutting down a whole city, like massive,
I did read a headline of an article, like, economy, Boston shut down, basically, so, for example, is it worth shutting down an entire city, if you will?
Yeah,
capture.
Or like I was saying, like even maybe not even from partially from an economic perspective, but also just from the perspective of like quote unquote freedom. Like, is it worth everyone's like?
Yeah, you're literally trading security for freedom at that point, or trading freedom for security, I should say.
Well, I mean, like, how do you mean though? I mean, basically, they were just cooperating with what the police service really wanted.
And you could go out. There wasn't like a like.
They can't literally restrict you.
Right.
Well, they can, but they didn't,
Because there was like they lifted the ban on going out or something like that, you know what I mean? It's just, they just strongly urged people to stay indoors.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're trading the freedom to move around, go about your daily life for the security of after, what was it, took them close to 18 hours.
Well, they lifted the ban even before they caught him, I think.
Yeah, but not long before they caught him. But I'm saying, like, so is it worth that? The hours, just people not doing anything to catch one guy.
Well, without doing that, maybe perhaps it actually kind of sped up the process. So, for example, if you actually still have like millions of people just going out, throughout their daily lives, it's just going to take the police service a lot more time to actually find this one guy.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, so that's the thing. Like,
it's a little bit easier because if you have one guy that's running, and everyone else is staying inside, it's going to be a lot easier to spot that one guy.
Well, you have to consider,
Well, that's why it's a trade. You're trading freedom for security. It might be easier for the police to do their job. I'm not saying that, but
there's a phrase I like to say here, which is there's fast, cheap, and right, and you can have two of them.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened?
You did fast and right,
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. And so it's like, I mean, I'm not saying there's a right answer or wrong answer. It should be something that people think about, because, like, especially because now, like, police forces are so heavily militarized. They practically look like soldiers, And it's like, every time
they actually look better prepared than soldiers. I'd have to say.
Yeah, especially in the early days of the Iraq occupation, like.
Those guys compared to like the SWAT teams that were out on the streets of Watertown.
But here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's say you're a future terrorist, right? And you know that if you blow something up, right, and shoot it out with some people and then run away, you can bring an entire city to a standstill for one day, or however long it takes them to catch you,
The effect that one man can actually have.
Right. So for
yeah,
all
similar to what Dorner did.
yeah,
You know.
So for all the people for all the guys out there who are watching this, all the bad men who are watching this, it tells them that they get away.
Yeah.
You know, they can grind a major city to a complete halt.
Right.
You know, and so what economic damage could they inflict? What, I guess, more, damage to people's morale, because you're caging people up, while they wait for these people to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
And these are this is a 19-year-old and a 25-year-old, or a 26-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, if this starts becoming standard operating procedures, it actually might in the long term. I don't know this though. It might in the long term actually work to the benefit of terrorists, because they can inflict so much damage with maybe not that much,
I think, though, there is something to be said for how quickly this all kind of went down, because, the bombings happened on Monday, but it was yesterday the FBI put out, we're looking for these people of interest or whatever. Yeah. And, within 24 hours, I mean, obviously, that on one hand, that tips off the perpetrators, if they are indeed the perpetrators, but, and then what? It's Friday afternoon, evening right now, and, it's, well, if somebody's in custody, he has yet to be prosecuted, but I'm going to say he's guilty, and...
yeah, we have a lot of witnesses of him
shooting
a cop.
Good luck trying to get that guy a fair trial.
And imagine if they just put out the flyer, like, hey, look for this guy, and didn't lock down the whole city.
Yeah.
He'd be, like, I don't know, in Ohio by now.
I was going to say, he'd be in a different state.
Right.
So... yeah, I don't know.
But just, like, I'd say, like, how can I word this? I guess, like, by doing what the police said, just stay indoors, only go out if it's a necessity, and shutting down, like, schools and stuff like that. I mean, everybody has a right to an education, so it's like another, right that's kind of been stripped for a day or two, you know what I mean? That also sucks. The right to work, make money, and shit like that. But by everybody, like, doing nothing, it's just, maybe it was just kind of like their way, because that's how I would see it, in my opinion. Like, I would stay indoors, like, one, I don't want to get shot, and two, it's just like, it feels like I'm actually helping out in a way, you know what I mean, because I'm not actually getting in their way.
Yeah, I guess, so. Well, I mean, maybe there's a distinction between, like,
because I really don't think that, like, the phrase, to be stripped of freedom, I just feel like that's a little bit too strong, and to actually
I mean,
I
think
what exactly happened up there.
Well, because people didn't actually lose any freedom, because they could go out technically.
Yeah.
A lot of people chose to stay indoors, and a lot of things were shut down.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of the people complaining that it was a police state situation or something weren't, there.
Yeah.
They were somewhere else. So, imagine, I mean, there's a Baltimore Marathon too, and if some, like, Chechnyan motherfuckers, like, killed 3 people and injured hundreds, or 100 some, and they said, hey, don't go to work tomorrow, don't leave your house, we have to hunt for these fuckers, I think I'd be cool with that. And I hate the police.
Yeah.
But I would put up with it, because I'd be like, no, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
I think I could take a hit for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It would be a different matter. I was wondering how long this would go on.
Yeah.
What if this went on for a week? Like,
Yeah.
people with, like, running out of insulin, and there's tons of issues there. But overall, like I said, I hate the police. I don't praise them very often, but I think they did the best job they could, really.
Well, they didn't shoot any innocent people, so that's...
that's much better than the LAPD looking
Yeah.
for Dorner. They didn't light a barn on fire, killing the sole suspect or anything.
Yeah, they may have shot this guy, but, like, they're actually doing everything they can to save this man's life, as opposed to just...
They did continually call them suspects and not terrorists,
Yeah.
which they did with Dorner, just right off the bat.
Yeah.
They did definitely, like, in terms of the ways you can handle a massive manhunt through a major city, which sounds like a fucking nightmare. Because urban any kind of urban combat scenario is going to drive you nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether you are just a civilian or if you're one of the dudes with a gun, because like, let's say you make a fucking mistake,
Mm-hmm.
and accidentally shoot someone who's just a random person, then you have to live with that.
Right.
For the rest of your life. So it's a nightmare scenario all around, which is probably one of the reasons why, terrorism can be so effective. And by how it could have gone, they didn't shoot anyone. They didn't, as far as I know, I think they arrested the guy who, the two dudes had carjacked or whatever, but they figured out that he wasn't involved, so they just let him go. So it's like, pretty
Pretty cut and dry.
yeah. But in the future, maybe it'll get messier, and then the trade-off becomes a bit higher. I don't know. Although fortunately for us, there just aren't that many Chechens, like total. Like there's only like 1.5 million or something like that in the world. So maybe there won't be.
How many Chechen, Muslims are there in the world?
Well, most of them are Muslim.
Okay,
so,
I gotcha.
Well, this is all like speculative.
So hopefully there won't be that.
Well, that's the thing. I'm inclined not to blame Chechens in particular,
Right.
although it is of interest that they are
Yeah.
of that background. I'm inclined just to blame fucking Islam,
Yeah.
But because this is something that I think Europeans are dealing with more directly. We haven't had, besides like I'd say like Fort Hood was a pretty deadly attack. It's a shooting spree. The guy was going to get shifted out of Afghanistan. There was other things going on. But as far as just like a straight-up terror attack, we hadn't actually suffered one since 9/11 before this.
Yeah, there was a dude. There was like the Times Square bomber.
Right, there was like some foiled plots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There was
That's right, because there was the bomb in a car in front of the Viacom building, right?
Yeah, that was a Times Square guy. Then there was the Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Who was a dude who they just had to fucking like restrain to keep him.
Yeah, I remember like one of my teachers said that like, they really just beat the fuck out of that guy, like on the plane. I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, that's one thing that changed after 9/11. Now they don't, like it used to be hijacker. Maybe he'll just drop you guys off. Now you just fear the worst, so you're just gonna try to hit him with your Samsonite or whatever. And then also speaking of planes, there was the underwear bomber, on Christmas Day, who tried to, who like had like an explosive in his underwear. That's like why we have the new enhanced.
Yeah, he's responsible for the no water bottles on planes.
No, that's another thing.
That was a different thing.
Yeah.
I think that was just like highly speculative on how you could make like a bomb like just with like a liquid base of some sort. You know what I mean? So for example, if like you could have like a sealed bottle of water, but if you just take a syringe and a needle, just and fill it up that way, you just puncture the bottle with a needle, and then just fill up a bottle like that, and you just have a bomb right there. Obviously, not exactly that easy, but
i.e. the improvised explosive device.
Yeah.
And no, the underwear guy is the reason why they the TSA does the enhanced pat downs. And they have the
You mean where they like finger my asshole and feel my balls and
is
sort
that
of look
I'm
at my
not
mouth
sure.
for a long time and sort of moan gently?
Is that I don't.
That doesn't happen to you guys.
I don't think that's actually happened to anyone.
Oh, it's happened to somebody.
You should.
You should
Seek
talk.
counseling.
You should call the police.
Oh, I didn't mind. I do my part to stop terrorism. You know what I mean?
That's why rather than you just pull your sack out. When you're walking through.
Oh yeah, I just volunteer. They're like, "Sir, we weren't going to check you." Well, I just want to do my part. I'll be one of the.
Sir, you're exposing yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm preventing terrorism.
I just wanted to show you I love freedom. Well, that's what one of the some of the things people were talking about after 9/11 was before people get on airplanes, we should make them eat bacon and drink some beer. I support that.
Yeah.
Even if that doesn't prove they're not a terrorist.
It's better than the normal shit you get on a plane.
I've never actually. This is just a fun fact about King Kobe. I've never been on an airplane.
Really?
No, I've never been in. I've been in an airport. Okay, so I have been in BWI airport on 2 occasions, but
it is pretty cool.
It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I get scared of shit though sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like I know we're not gonna fucking crash, and I just like right around takeoff and landing, I'm just like I don't know. I just don't know. This is like statistically just a dumb thing to fucking worry about. I have no idea. I'm gonna fucking die. Holy hell, this is gonna be happening. Oh, we're here.
Well, if you think about it this way, okay, so you are a primate, a higher primate, a naked higher primate that we're putting in a metal box and throwing through the air, hoping you end up in the right place, like
throwing through the air.
A controlled fall.
How would you not feel safe?
What's up?
How would you not feel safe?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Flying doesn't bother me at all because I figure if anything goes wrong, you are so dead. It's insane. Like
it's not going to be long and drawn out.
Yeah, you have maybe 15 seconds to piece together what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they have the whole black box thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good Wikipedia hole you can fall into. Even besides hijackers and stuff, yeah, they investigate every
single plane crash.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's like basically all those moving parts and everything. It's just those like same parts are also on like 5 other planes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they can figure out like what happened, like, if there was a faulty part, then they actually have to inspect the other planes of the same class.
Man,
I
I'm
guess.
so glad my job doesn't, like none of my work is ever going to matter as much.
like nobody will die if you like are too hungover to do a good job one day or something.
Like imagine you're a plane inspector. That's your like, I don't know. I couldn't handle the pressure of that. Knowing that.
Right.
Or
you were a pilot, you
Yeah.
know, and you had a few too many, and you thought you could handle it. And you're flying, you're like, holy shit.
I'm still fucking drunk.
Right. Like if you're going to work in your car, that's no big deal. But if you're flying hundreds of people to San Diego or whatever.
I really don't understand that though, because it's like, I mean, if you're drunk and flying a plane, you're not going to get into an accident. You can't crash a plane into another plane. Like what?
We
what
got all the
fuck is the problem?
passengers.
Yeah, they're in the air. Like I don't get it. There's not going to be an accident.
They bought the ticket, they took the ride.
Well, maybe you just take the roll the dice approach.
But pilots are such notorious drunks that their legal limit isn't 0. Like you can blow like a .04 or something and still fly the plane.
Yeah,
because it's so common because these people have such fucked up schedules.
Yeah, they're constantly just trying to
take the edge off.
Take the edge off of their jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're allowed to have a couple drinks or whatever, but they're just not allowed to be like.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to be just pissed drunk flying a plane, which is a good rule. I have to admit, that's a good one.
Well, see, and here is the Kobe, you're a narcissist sometimes.
Okay, yeah, I've been known to
dabbled in it,
right.
Dabbled in anarchism for a time. So here's the thing, the whole pilot the rule that pilots can't be wasted.
Right.
Do you think that should be a law? Like I'm just like.
Maybe more of a suggestion or like a campaign, like an educational kind of thing.
So if a dude shows up,
it's a company policy, but not necessarily a governed law.
Definitely not a law.
Okay,
right. It shouldn't be able to be prosecuted. You know, like,
but can someone come in and force him out of the plane? Like let's say dude shows up blowing a .12, he insists that he's good to go. Everyone knows he's not,
Yeah, because at that point, if you're having a mutiny or a sort of, if the mob decides that the pilot is not good to fly,
right.
They can then remove him. See, they're questioning authority at that point.
So you're in favor of mob justice at.
I'm in favor of like maybe 100 passengers just getting together and kind of deciding who flies the plane. Maybe taking shifts or something. Kind of a mutualist sort of approach to air travel, And then if somebody tries to step up and say, "Hey, I'm the pilot," you just say, "No gods, no masters," and like restrain him.
Throw him out of the plane.
Because he's
pressurized plane.
Because he's obviously a government plant of some kind,
Right. He's a statist.
He's a communist infiltrator.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that's how flying would work in an ideal anarchist society. I don't know how nuclear power would work. That's a whole kettle of fish, so to speak.
You could work in a pharmacy with a .02.
This is from personal experience.
No, this is just law. I remember reading it. I was I applied for a job at Walgreens. Okay, this is years ago.
The wall.
Yeah, the wall. And this was years ago. It was just like, would you be willing to take a breathalyzer? Like a random breathalyzer test, random drug test, stuff like that. And apparently, like that's when it was explained. Like Maryland law requires that you cannot blow above a .02. While working behind a pharmacy. I'm like, .02? It's like, seriously?
I think,
it's like, why? But I know, like, certain medicine has alcohol in it, other things have alcohol in it, but...
A .03 would be, that would put you over the limit, buddy,
I think what it is, like, a lot of these apply legacy rules back from when society was significantly more intoxicated more of the time than it is now.
Dude, what about the zero tolerance policies that we learned when we were teenagers in high school, Graham?
They didn't have those. I don't know. Like, it was like, you know, maybe
That's an invention of like the 80s.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, maybe
Magda.
maybe like a pharmacy tech, you know, just hypothetically might go home and
No,
have.
most people who work at a pharmacy, from my experience, actually are pretty. They're drunks. It's actually kind of funny. I don't know why. It's like one of my coworkers. Like he drinks. Like he used to drink like all the time when he was working as a technician. You know, a couple pharmacists that I know, they drink wine and tequila and shit. So.
Yeah.
So I should be thankful that it even makes that even the right stuff makes it into that. No, I'm just kidding. It's you know.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
you
mean-
could be at a 0.8 and still get most of the, you know.
I don't know. I mean, some
Point-
pharmacists
point
are just
0.8.
stupid.
Point-
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
might be.
not
Yeah,
0.8.
Could be lethal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always make that mistake.
yeah, 0.8. You know, you're not living.
Although you see
Right
this
there, you are like pants shitting drunk. Right there.
not piss drunk, shit drunk,
Shit drunk.
fuck nut drunk.
Shit house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a wrap, guys.
Yeah.
Call it a show.
Raw dog it, just, you know, put it up.
that's pretty good.
Can you grab me another beer?
Yeah, I was gonna get one for everyone.
All right.
Outstanding.
Just figured, you know.
Let it keep going. What are we at? 20 something?
I hate you, Adam.
33? Oh my god, dude.
We don't even know if it sounds good. It's gonna sound like shit.
It sounds amazing.
Looks good.
Thank you. I try. I actually didn't take a shower today, but thank you. It makes me feel a bit better about myself.
I was talking about the wavelength of
Oh, not me?
the file that I'm staring at on the computer.
You weren't talking about me?
No.
Why?
Well, Adam, you might be.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, you're okay looking.
Yeah. If it wasn't for physics,
You'd be unstoppable.
I'd probably be able to fly and, you know, time travel and move shit with my mind and...
You'd have like a full bank account.
So what else happened this week? The only other news story that I was really following.
Adam is on vacation. That's what you were following. I'm just kidding. What'd you follow?
Well, there's that explosion in West Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Massive fire at a fertilizer factory or plant or something.
Plant, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of ammonium nitrate just goes kablooey.
Yeah. And you know, fertilizer plants apparently they can combust quite frequently, which is of course why the plant was constructed right next to a school and a retirement home. You know.
Well, that's Texas.
Well, I think the Illuminati just probably planned that from the beginning.
Good call. I
Yeah.
forgot all about those guys with all the Chechen terrorism and shit.
Dude,
Yeah,
no
I forgot
joke.
the whole New World Order and.
Dude, I actually saw a couple things like in my Twitter feed. I don't know who the hell was retweeting it, but like from like Wu-Tang something, and then it was at Illuminati was also being tagged in their Twitter posts. So, I mean, it's still around.
Yeah.
You know? I just thought it was kind of funny because we just started talking about it 3 weeks ago, and now it's popping all over the place, popping up all over the place.
Yeah, well now, like, you know, I think enough people, you know, it's kind of a, you know, it's been bouncing around long enough that enough people can ironically appropriate it, you know, like, you know, people that don't actually, of course, believe that the Illuminati is a real force, i.e. the suckers of the world, you know, they can still joke about the Illuminati, you know,
Right.
that's when it gets a fake Twitter account, you know.
Yeah.
That can be made fun of. But I don't know. How do you think the Illuminati figures into the events of this week? Do you think they were planning anything or behind it, opposing it?
I think they probably planted a couple seeds, and then just let everything else just, you know, follow its own course, I guess. You know what I mean?
Blossom sort of organically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that way.
They kind of set the design.
That way, they actually don't get into any trouble. You know what I mean?
Well, they're not going to get prosecuted. I mean, they're behind.
Yeah, they own.
They're on the money, man.
Yeah.
You know, the pyramid with the eye, the all-seeing eye.
See, that's what they want you to think. Okay.
Oh, that's a ruse. So
Yeah.
there's a New World Order beyond the one I've already discovered through watching YouTube videos and lucid dreaming and astral projection and
Duh.
thinking outside the box. And
Well, actually, well, speaking of the Illuminati, I did notice that up until it was revealed that we were dealing with some Chechnyan terrorism. I did think that.
Chechen or Chechen?
I think it's like
I thought it was Chechen.
Yeah, it's Chechen, or when you're referring to the members of the ethnic group, and Chechnya is the country. So I think it's Chechenian is maybe someone. I could be fucking this up entirely. I don't know.
I remember reading Chechen.
Yeah, that's what I saw printed, but I always say Chechenian because I don't know. Maybe I think
You're an asshole?
Yeah, I'm an asshole. I think it sounds better. So I just
we're a news show.
Yeah.
Don't you want your shit to be correct?
I mean,
none of our shit is research.
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of we call it like we see it after we sort of look at our feeds and talk to the people we know, which aren't very many.
Yeah.
John Fang specifically, I sort of confer with him occasionally.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Fang at John Fang Twitter. He tweets quite often.
Yes, he does. A lot of it's about like the Nationals.
Yeah, a lot of it's baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
And also the sequestration.
Yes, he's a government employee. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm giving away too much.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's on his Twitter.
Yeah.
It's all public.
Yeah.
And nobody listens to this anyway, so...
His address is...
He would actually, if he gave us a bump, that would probably do us more good than
oh
the
yeah,
other way around.
like
Yeah.
if he shouted us out, and but he doesn't want to be
Associated, yeah.
I wouldn't either.
Right.
I would feel insulted.
I don't.
So, Illuminati.
Oh yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. After the attack, there was a little bit in the, sort of, various corners of the web about the possibility that this was a conspiracy. This wasn't the bombing was actually a false flag of some kind.
Yeah.
Including Alex Jones, I believe, tweeted.
I actually watched his goddamn video on YouTube.
Wow.
It was tough to get through.
Yeah.
It really was.
And he has a big viewership.
He
That's
does,
crazy.
yeah.
He's got like a cult following.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and he tweeted 30 minutes after the attack. He said he thought it was a false flag. Just
Fucking idiot.
yeah, just no evidence, nothing. Just
people that always say the conspiracy and say that they're trying to institute a police state, you have to wonder, after so many events in secession happen, it's like, how could that even be coordinated? Do you believe that things ever happen? Do people ever take matters into their own hands and kill people or do anything or make a statement? Or do you just think it's all, the
Part of the plan.
Illuminati?
Yeah.
And I guess that's what they think, it's because I hear that argument made for 9/11 from those New World Order fuckers, how could, 12 Saudis do this or whatever? It's that fucking difficult. And, and this, it's this isn't that difficult of a thing to pull off, but...
Yeah, no, the recipe, I was reading this somewhere, the recipe for a pressure cooker bomb has been around since 1971, So this is not a new...
Yeah.
40 years old.
And there was I was reading about this, there was a terrorist attack in Mumbai where the terrorists had access to much higher grades of explosives.
Yeah.
And they set off a series of pressure cooker bombs, I believe they were either commuter trains or commuter buses.
And that probably would just take out a whole building.
It killed 250 people or something like that,
Jesus, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
so it's so these are things that, people with enough malice and access to some high explosives or whatever can put together. But no, of course they can't. No one would ever think to be evil on their own. They need to have someone else pulling the strings,
Right.
or manipulating them to some extent. And it's but that's the thing when and I'm often sympathetic to the conspiracy-minded people because there are plenty of conspiracies in the world. But it was for this, I was like, guys, just give
Let it go.
Yeah, this is perfunctory at this point. There's no evidence of a conspiracy.
Right.
This is a crime. Or it's a much simpler conspiracy. It was two dudes, planning an attack.
Let me...
I just couldn't believe that was the first, official question at the press conference for Deval Patrick. I think that's the governor of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's, was this a staged attack to, strip away rights,
Right.
Yeah.
from American citizens? No. Next question.
Yeah.
It's how do you even get the first question? You know what I mean? It's just how... Oh God,
Right, yeah, you have that access.
Yeah, you have that
Waste
access
it.
and you fucking waste it. You know what I mean? It's just... I don't understand.
Well, the media are fucked hard.
Yeah, this
that's
is the fucking asshole that I think was actually working with or one of Alex Jones's sources.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
He
just-
was from
he was-
Infowars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why
And-
would they say no? You know, why wouldn't they just say, "Oh yeah, of course it is."
Yes,
Yeah.
this is all part of our plan to develop a police state, which you already live under, you know?
Yeah, that was like Gawker's, like whoever wrote the Gawker article, it's like that was their joke. It's like, yeah, you got us. Sorry. You know.
See, that's the
Oh
thing.
my
like,
God.
Like I'm enough of a troll that like if I was actually asked a question like that and I was in a position of power, I'd probably say, sure.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about it?
Just throw a smoke bomb down and leave the room.
And see, that's the thing. I think part of the whole like conspiracy mindset, particularly in these sort of cases, is they're looking for a cartoonish level of evil, which I would be happy to provide people given the right theatrics. But the fact of the matter is, more often than not, evil is incredibly ordinary. You know, like there's no sinister machination. Some people are just born kind of fucked up, and based on their circumstances, they might get funny ideas in their head, and whatever they're doing usually has a very consistent logical structure that might not be the one that we share, and they commit atrocities because atrocities are not terribly hard to commit.
I think the propensity for evil too, just how easy or difficult it is to convince people to do evil. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You give them some monetary incentive or just glory, just the idea that they'll be remembered.
Yeah.
People do a lot of crazy shit.
Or even just manipulation.
Yeah. Or if they think they'll get away with it.
Yeah,
I think
that's true too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how a lot of bank robberies start.
Yeah, most bank robbers get away. You know, when I was down and out, I thought about it. I've never committed a bank robbery. Or I've never been convicted of committing a bank robbery. But not that bank robberies are evil. But
no, that's on the evil scale. It hardly registers.
That's like a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say stealing from like a small business is worse. But
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's like a 5.
Yeah.
right. So what's the evil scale? 1 to 10?
I was gonna say 9/11. 1 to 9, .11, I guess.
Kick it up to 11. Yeah.
I'd say 1 to 20 just to give you people plenty of stages. Because
Nah.
you can go way eviler than a 5, you know.
Well, I was thinking on a scale of 1 to 10.
How about like
no
1
joke.
to like 10,000?
Okay.
Is that intuitive or?
No, I can't think in thousands.
10,000s.
So, decapitating an innocent, bunny rabbit, that would be about a 250, I think.
That's way worse. Than
Out of 10,000?
Yeah.
No, that's
Or is that 1,000?
that's more than 1,000. You know.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'd say it's like
2,500. 2,500?
Hey, come on, man. It just. Well, then again, although if that is that evil,
Yeah.
the worst shit happens at factory farms every day.
True.
Yeah.
That's how we eat our meat. So yeah, I'm gonna bring it back down to like 50.
Just because you don't want it to affect your life.
I don't want to rock the boat too
much. Don't want it to disrupt the status quo.
Yeah. Might want to eat like some steak and eggs tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
So I don't
and don't feel too guilty about it.
Right.
So there's been some evil inflation too, a little bit. You know.
Mm-hmm.
How do you mean, like people just trying to one up everybody else?
Oh yeah, or just the shit we're willing to put up with has gotten a bit. We've gotten a bit more flexible, you know, because I read this thing, as one of the critics of the drone program, for example, said back in the 90s they apparently they agonized over whether they should kill Osama fucking bin Laden, right? Because they had him in their sights on a few different occasions, and they. And he hadn't really done anything wrong at that point, or nothing that definitive or something like that. So they had all.
This is pre 9/11.
Yeah, this was back in 1997 or something.
Okay.
They knew he was trouble.
Yeah.
He hadn't committed any acts.
But he had inspired people to do so, and he was probably going to be.
Plus, also he was basically kind of running the show in the terrorist training camps too.
Yeah. So they were like, we could kill him, right? We could capture him too. That was another thing on the table.
Yeah.
We could capture him and then get any information and then kill him. So they had these opportunities. Right.
Well, he also took responsibility for
the World Trade Center bombing, I
thought it was the U.S. Embassy bombing.
It was there was a bombing at the U.S. Embassy. There was the 1993 World Trade Center bombing.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
And I think he took responsibility for both, but he didn't do it directly, or maybe, but
I don't know.
Well, just like 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, so they had this. So they already knew he was a bad dude, and there had been chatter floating around that he was trying to acquire a nuclear weapon, right?
Wow.
So this is like seriously evil shit.
Yeah.
And so they had him on a few different occasions, and they didn't pull the trigger. right? He goes on to commit 9/11, right? But they agonized over the decision, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we routinely just blow people up.
Yeah.
Just, he was around, you know? Like, so, like, what I'm saying is there has been a little bit of a
change of pace.
not to say that people were moral in the 90s, because they absolutely weren't, but maybe they were a little bit,
Well,
a little bit more cautioned, I think.
yeah. Or maybe just the traditional moral categories were a bit more robust. You know, whereas...
Well, also, if you think about it, like, back in the 90s, you didn't necessarily have, like, you know, a big enough budget for your drone program.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, certain things, like, they would just actually still would require, you know, like an insurgency team.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, all you gotta do is just have a pilot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And drop a fucking bomb.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, yeah, no, it's easier, certainly. But also, people were, you know, maybe it was like, you know, now I think it's a lot easier to appeal to the expediency, you know? Like, so if something is just, would be much simpler just to get taken care of,
Yeah.
we're going to see fewer moral objections in the name of just getting something done. And I think maybe, and I don't know, I wasn't really very aware in the 90s, but maybe earlier on people were more willing to voice, at least.
Well, if you also consider, because there was a lot more variables to consider, too.
Yeah.
You know, accuracy of intelligence. Well, I mean, that's always a variable, of course.
And it's usually not very good, you
Right.
know?
But, you know, also, like, collateral damage, casualties on our end, you know, how much is it going to really cost?
Well, that's the thing. Gulf War I, for example, Dick Cheney...
Well, I was just going to follow up real quick. It's like with a drone, though, it's just like how much does gas cost right now? You know what I mean?
How much does it cost to keep the battery going?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And, with Gulf War I, Dick Cheney, he talked about... there was like 100 some Americans died or something, and he was saying that, was that even worth it? So he was coming out saying, is that even worth it? And then now, you know, fast forward 10 years, thousands, you know, died, tens of thousands wounded. It was, you know, and then no one even wants to talk about it.
And Cheney's still alive with a heart transplant that he recently received.
So the moral of the story...
Seriously?
Yes. He
That was
received
the
a heart...
second one, I thought.
No, it
No,
wasn't
he had heart surgery.
Right. He's
And
had
now
many surgeries. He received a new heart.
Wait, he got a brand new They gave the guy a brand new heart?
Yeah, last year.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
I'm not kidding, dude. He's in his 70s.
How is he even eligible for that? What the fuck?
Allegedly, this is like the dean of medicine at some hospital said he wasn't bumped up at all. He was on the list for a while. He finally got through. It's hard to believe, though.
Dude, seriously. Some, like, 18-year-old kid, like, probably needed that heart.
Well, being vice president, obviously, it's not hard on the heart at all. I'm sure he can handle a new...
Why do the terrorists hate us? I wonder. Who could possibly hate that? I'm just saying.
That's what I don't understand about terrorism, man. It's like, you know, it's basically like the lowliest civvies blowing up other civvies. It's like, why don't you fucking take out... I'm not saying do anything. It's like, if you hate the war on terror, you hate, you know, what they've done to your people and your Muslim countries. Like, why are you just...
Why are you bombing a fucking foot race?
Right, you know, foot race or the...
Although here's the thing, Senator John Kerry is typically at the Boston Marathon. He actually took an unscheduled detour to keep from being there. So that was an early story I heard. You know, if there was a political dimension, maybe they were trying to go for a high value target.
Oh my God! Actually, there was this piece of interesting news. It's like a couple friends of mine. They actually went up to Boston for the Orioles game.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like obviously like a week prior to the bombing, and on the way up there, like throughout like the entire 2-3 days that they were up there, you know, a buddy of mine like hears on the radio all these PSAs, and he didn't actually put 2 and 2 together until after the bombings happened. It's like, if you see something, say something. Any suspicious activity, call this 1-800 number. So it was a lot of like awareness, like around that time. It just seemed kind of interesting. But also, if you think about it, I mean, perhaps maybe there was certain intelligence that was passed down to local authorities. Keep an eye out, something may happen. But at the same time, you know, just common sense, I think, would just make you think. High density amount of people, you know, big event, you know, very traditional. Kind of gathering,
right?
it makes it a high-profile target for an attack.
Right.
So it might as well. They could have just done that every single year anyway. You know?
Yeah. No, and I think post 9/11 you're going to see warnings
Exactly.
like that. I mean, although, and that's the problem I think with defending against terrorism. Like, if you secure one channel, such as an airport, right?
Mhm.
How many other channels exist that someone could target? You know, you have churches, you have marathons, you
Yeah.
have fucking trains, you have, you know, like, there are just so many fucking, you know, there are 310 million people in this fucking country just gawking around all the time.
Yeah.
You know, not very aware of their surroundings. Like, I'm not even sure I would recognize a suspicious person, you know,
Yeah.
so busy updating fucking Facebook or some shit, you know, in a moving vehicle, you know, like, you know. And what I'm saying is, like, so there's so many quote-unquote soft targets
Can you imagine how difficult it's going to be when everybody has a pair of Google glasses?
yeah, no, we'll just keep crashing into each other. They'll probably install that as a feature, like a warning light that goes off. Another human, you know? Like,
No reason to take them off.
Evasive maneuvers. You know? Human contact imminent, you know?
Decrease speed immediately.
Yeah. You know, warmth, compassion, you know, socialization, you know,
Reverse.
conviviality. Go back to your cave, you know. So that's going to need to be a feature, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
the problem is, you harden these targets. There's always going to be more. You know, and unfortunately for us, you know, the plebs, you know, the civvies, you know, John Q, Public, the Gen Pop, you know, the proles, hoi polloi, whatever you want to call us.
The MC Grams, the King Kobe,
The unwashed
Just
beyond.
Adams.
Yeah, exactly. The unwashed beyond, you know, the
And
yeah, we
people,
yeah, yeah, the people as we're sometimes referred to,
dudes,
yeah,
chicks.
yeah. We're the ones who don't have any
Yes.
protection, you know, like all the VIPs of the world, you know, like that's the thing you were asking earlier, like why don't terrorists just go after these guys? Because they're probably pretty hard to get to,
Yeah.
because they have, like, you know, they're driving in motorcades, you know, have private security or Secret Service or whatever. We're the guys who are just fucking walking
Well,
around.
here's
you
like
know?
the
Giving
one.
out our location all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
here's like the perfect example of that. It's like the guy who was trying to send the Ricin letters to like the senator and also you know, President Obama, and it's just like,
Paul Kevin Curtis.
yeah, in what fucking universe would that ever work? Honestly, you want to send a poisonous piece of paper through the USPS to President Obama, and you actually think he's the one going to open that letter?
I'm sure the president reads all his mail.
Seriously,
That's the
Well,
that actually boggled my fucking mind. It really did.
well, this guy probably isn't stable.
yeah.
Because the context for the case, so he's an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come on,
Yeah.
13. Besides
Hey,
that,
Elvis
he
is
signed
and
his-
always will be the
Alive.
king. You know?
That irritated me too, right? Because he signed his letters with, "I am KC and I approve this message."
King Kobe.
Yeah, I'm King Kobe. I was like, God damn it, you know. And his name is Paul Kevin Curtis.
I actually didn't know his first name was Paul because, like, when I heard it on the radio, not the radio, I'm sorry, the news, when I was watching the news earlier, it was just Kevin Curtis.
Right, but he actually thought.
Dude, can you imagine?
No, he
if
thought
they-
that. Listen, he thought that a organ transplant conspiracy
Well, those
was
do
being
exist.
propagated at the highest levels of government. I don't know if he thought Obama was responsible. He definitely thought
Well, how did Dick Cheney-
Mississippi representative that he sent the letter to was involved.
Well, how did Dick Cheney get that hard?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I
Take a step back.
gotta take a break. Excuse me. KC and I approve this message. Alright.
Dude, I was actually going to mention, like, real quick, though, wouldn't it be fucking, like, would it be, like, the weirdest fucking thing? He's like, KC, King Kobe, wow, that's so cool. I am KC, I approve this message. What if they found the Nulo news show in his browser search history?
I'd be thrilled. I'd be
Yeah.
thrilled
Yeah.
with publicity, honestly.
I'm just saying, like, we're all going to get banned.
Yeah, well, we better have a good show that.
Yeah.
A send off. My 6-hour show.
Goodbye, everybody. It's been real.
We forgot to do station identification.
Ah, fuck it, they know who we are.